Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today I'm heading back to the beach to try and finish all the multi-layered areas so I can start actually incorporating some buildings. Right, so this area has stayed unfinished for far too long, so I figure I may as well go back to it and try and finish it off. We've already got our thin layer of sea, but I need to finish off the next layer of beach, then the seawall, finish off the boardwalk, which I want to go up to about here, and then finish off this layer that's just one brick below the main layer with all of its supporting structure underneath, to take a row of modulars ultimately backing onto the train line, which will have their backs facing the back of another row of modulars on the other side of the rail line, which includes our fast food corner. And then this level, which is currently behind the old fishing store, is actually on that higher level, so we'll need to manufacture kind of a step down from here, just one brick onto that slightly mezzanine level as well, all the while keeping as much of this space for development and beach and things like our shrimp shack and so on as possible. So I think the first stage is to get another one or maybe two pieces of wood in here at the right level so we can put the remaining base plates down on top. Wow, well, talk about going backwards before you can go forwards. I've had all of this up in its entirety again, including all the stuff we'd done before, including this end and absolutely everything, because everything you do at one end has a knock-on effect all the way along. I've basically got to dovetail the right side with the old fishing store perfectly with the left side, which has got the raised areas, and have them sort of meet in the middle, hopefully with some sort of regular sort of pattern and a lot of interesting things cut into the seawall all the way along, as well as stairs going up to the top level from the beach and all the rest of it. So there's quite a lot to consider. So what I have done is added those two new table pieces. So that's really good because they're a nice firm support for what will be the row of modulars along here. Now I realised that they weren't going to reach all the way to the end, so what I've done is actually spaced out the ones that I had. They were sort of touching each other, and now I've put a two stud gap in between each of them just so they're spread out a bit more firmly, and that small gap won't have any bearing on the support they give. I've also added a lot more of the supports underneath the actual rail line that's on top of these wood pieces, just to support that as well. And I've also added a lot of support under the unsupported edge of this, so that is completely firm as well. So I'm really happy with all of that because it's a very solid foundation, as I say. The next complication came when I realised I wanted to do a lot of these cutaways quite deep into the seawall, and that meant that the pieces of wood that I was using were too long and were actually getting in the way. So what I've done on these two only is cut a slice of the wood off with a saw, not in the Lego room, you'll be glad to hear, otherwise there'd be sawdust everywhere, and then put them back, and that just gives me a little more room to play with for these three gaps here, which we'll do soon. The other large gap is here, and that's what I'm planning to use for the hidden side shrimp shack. So the beach will be full of activity and different buildings when we've all got it done. So I've got the seawall coming from right behind the old fishing store on this side, round kind of a corner here, and then straight all the way along to here on the beach. And that means that I can add my row of modulars kind of here, 1, 2, 3 and so on along a row there, and have this one brick high step up to get onto this level, which will be something very fun and special, and a one brick step up to here, which will be where the main train station is, and the platforms and so on. And then it also means that I've got enough space here for the boardwalk. So the boardwalk will seamlessly join up with this seawall and the backs of these cutaways, and will be the full length of this all the way along. So we'll have, much like in the marina on the other side behind us, we'll have the sea level being the ground level here. 5 bricks higher up will be this boardwalk mezzanine level with the boardwalk and the row of modulars, and then a further 1 brick up will be the main table layer with the special area here and the railway lines and all the roads and stuff that's over there. Right, so now I'm really happy with this structural layer. I think what I can do now is put on the base plates that will be the final ones, covering all this area and sealing it in forever. I'll only be using temporary base plates for the 3 here because I'll be using base plates actually attached to 3 modulars. So I'll just put in some blank ones for now, but you should be able to get the idea. But the boardwalk will be in its final position, and then we can focus on doing the seawall, including repairing the bits we had to pull up today, and maybe putting in these 3 little units as well. Okay, and here's the same thing with everything tidied up. Got rid of all the pieces that I wasn't going to use, all the pieces that I've been using to sort of brace all of this supportive structure. And I've now put in, as you can see, all of the base plates. So we've got an unbroken boardwalk all the way from the ramp down that we did before near the tram line, all the way to the end here, where it just comes to a dead end, and a drop. We'll have a fence, don't worry, before the old fishing store. And then on the next level, we've got an 8 wide sort of strip in grey here, then 1, 2, 3 full-size base plates, and then another grey strip there. And that just means that I can have 3 modular buildings completely unchanged, and then have still a passageway up one side, which will ultimately be a pedestrian walkway over the 2 rail lines, which will link up with the front of the station, the main station. And the main station is going to be all along the behind these 3 modulars as well. And then this walkway will be sort of the continuation of the boardwalk, and we'll link up with some steps here to this area behind the old fishing store, which will be something very fun and special as well, which I'm not going to tell you yet. So yeah, I think you can start to see it. Sea, beach, sea wall, boardwalk, row of modulars with a passage on each side. And then, I don't know exactly where yet or which way around, but I'll have a stairway maybe here and maybe there. Then I'll have these 3 units here, and then the 1 large shrimp shack there. And then I'll probably have some more stuff at this end as well, and then all the normal sort of sunbathers, people playing beach volleyball and all the rest of it that everyone else has. Now, while we're here, a quick word on tiling the sea. I'm not going to tile the sea in a nutshell, straight to the point, just because I've got a huge amount of water in my city. If I did this strip, which wouldn't actually be too bad, I would also have to do the area underneath my 2 bridges over there, which is about 6 base plates or more probably. Then I'd have to do my harbour right over there, which is dozens of base plates, and it'd be an absolute nightmare to do. And then I'd also have to do my river, which wouldn't be too bad, but I'd have to take it all apart again. And then I'd have to do my marina, which is sort of behind where we are right now, which is, again, 1, 2, 3, 4.5, almost 5 base plates. So the cost of doing all that, even if I managed to go to a pick a brick wall and they had enough for what I needed, would cost me way over £100 and take me hour upon hour just to put in place. So I'm quite happy with a bobbly sea, which means I can stick things on it, like swimmers and all the rest of it. And I don't see a real problem with that, because I see smooth surfaces as being sort of tiled, like shiny floors and so on, and decking, whereas I see bobbly floors as being things like sand or water. So I'm pretty happy with that. Right, so I guess the next two steps are to put in basically the top of the wall, which is pretty much a yellow plate layer, some white slopes and some brown across all of this. But before I do that, I think I'm going to do these three spots here, just because I need to have them in place before I can enclose them. Right then, I'll build the middle one of these with you. And let's see if you can guess what it is while I'm building it. So it's got a 6x6 plate base, which I can add a yellow 1x6, a white 1x6, yellow, white, and this will be all a lot stronger when it's held together and braced from the top. Two 1x4 plates, just so it's got the right height to go underneath that base plate. A 1x2 brick, which will be in front of the base plate, and a 1x1. Very colourful. The same on the other side. Have you guessed what it is yet? And a very bright yellow door as well. So you'll either guess it now or you'll never guess it. So it's a beach cabin. I'm going to have three of these, as you can probably tell. So that goes in like that. It's completely seamless. Then we'll have the seawall, which will be the yellow stripe, white slope pieces, and the brown wooden rail. And then just to cap it off, put on a little bit of an overhanging roof. I won't push down this seawall yet because I've got to do the other ones, but you can see that's a very good looking beach cabin, and I'll need to put a handle on it so I can get it open a bit easier. But there you go. You'll be able to see inside, and beach goers will use that for storage, for keeping their stuff in, maybe their deck chairs and all the rest of it. And they might also use it for getting changed and so on. Now, for those of you outside the UK who probably don't recognise these, they're a very common thing on the British coast, especially on the south coast. And I thought incorporating them would just make it a lot brighter scene for very little real estate, because I've only really used an extra 1x6 area from the seawall. So I'm liking the look of that. I'm going to do two more, add some handles so I can get the doors open, and maybe I'll set up some funny scenes on each of them. Right, so that's all three of those in with door handles so we can get in them easily. I think they're quite fun, quite bright, quite interesting and true to life in England anyway. And now I'm doing the yellow plate layer that's going to have the white slope layer on top of it before I put on a brown railing, and I'll probably do some fencing on top of that, to be honest. And I'm just experimenting with the idea of using these modified plate pieces, which is kind of the old tow bar pieces. And I just thought if I put them in between these beach huts, and also continuing on sort of every 6 spaces or so, then I could probably mount a light fitting on in due course, either upwards, so it's sort of lighting the boardwalk pavement, or downward to sort of light the end of the beach, or maybe one downward and upward, who knows. So I quite like the idea of that, and then it forms part of that layer, which then sort of the slopes get built on, so all these beach huts get completely built into the wall. So that's one idea that I'm playing with. I'm also going to have some stairways like I did before, sort of like that, probably a bit further away, like that, which would be very good. And I have one going up that way, this side of the shrimp shack, and then one a bit further on going the other way, just so it looks pleasing. Yeah, I think I quite like these light things. Maybe I'll do sort of every other one though, or something like that, just so they're not quite so frequent. I'm not entirely sure. I need to play around with that a bit more. but at least now it's looking a lot neater. Phew, that's all in. Good. So I've got in my complete yellow layer, and I have put one of these every 2 in every 8, so I think it looks quite good so far. We'll have to see what comes from that, but even if nothing gets attached to it, sort of light fitting wise, I think it adds a bit of interest, a bit of contrast, rather than having just a completely flat wall. So that's good. I've put in the stairs, as I said, one going up that way and one going up that way, equidistant around the shrimp shack, which I think I'm going to have to do another time because I'm going to need to convert that a bit as well. So that's what this hole's for. Still being marked by this, probably don't need that anymore. You can see I've just started to put some paving slabs on here, and I can actually replace the 1x3 step on each of the steps with one with a tread plate on. After all those tiles I bought with tread plates on, including some 1x3 ones, it would seem sensible to use those wherever I have some steps. So there we go. I think that just adds to a little bit of the detail. Now clearly I've bought far too many white slopes to do this because I've done it all and I've got that many left. I also bought far too many yellow plates, but I'd rather have too many than too few, and I can use them elsewhere. So I think the next stage is to actually improve on this sort of wooden rung. And what I've done so far is just replaced what was there before, which I know a lot of you thought was a bit of a low wall. And it's just a layer of brown tiles just to cap it off. But I thought what I might do is use some 1x1 round bricks as sort of fence posts periodically. Obviously, they have to be attached to plates that can hold together these small dark bluish grey chains, and it would be like a chain fence on the top of a wall, which I also think will be very pleasing. It will kind of move. It'll also look quite realistic, because I think I've seen beachfronts with sort of chains along the top just to stop you stepping backwards off it while you're taking a selfie or something like that. So I think I'll get on with that. Now, I won't be able to do the whole lot. I know that for a fact because I haven't got enough chains. I haven't got enough of these. But a brick haul that will be coming very soon, that's currently winging its way to me, has more of both sets apart. So I'll be able to do a lot more when I've got that. But I think I should have a go now just to see if we can do some sort of proof of concept. Right, so that's my first attempt at improving this fence by getting it a little higher on these 1x1 round bricks with a chain interlinking to the next one. I've got enough to go all the way from the old fishing store around this corner above the beach huts to just out of shot, nearly the top of the stairs. I've got a couple more chains, but I haven't got any of the other bits, so that's as far as I think we're going to get today on that one. Right, while I remember, I'm going to add my vehicle of the day, which is set 4432, garbage truck. And I really like this set. Lego's done quite a few of these over the years, but this one is my favourite. It's in this bright green colour, which is usually a pretty nasty colour really, but it really works in this context. And it's a big old machine, this, and it's got the tipping mechanism both to empty out all the rubbish and the tipping mechanism on the back there where a dustbin can be emptied. And it's a really good looking set. It comes with 2 crew usually, but I've added 3 crew just so it's more realistic, 1 driver and 2 on the back. And these are the guys from the Lego movie. 2 of them have names, and they're called Garbage Man Dan and Garbage Man Grant. And I've added a 3rd one who I haven't named. We'll call him, I don't know, Garbage Man Stan, and then it rhymes as well. But then I can have 1 driving the thing, 1 hanging on, and 1 emptying a garbage pail, or a dustbin, as we call them in the UK. And the good thing about having them all attached to the van like this, apart from when I fire them off, is that wherever I drive this, they'll be working hard, because they're all actually attached, so I don't have to repose them each time. They're kind of permanently posed, attached to the van. So there we go. Good. So quick hands-free, just so you can get a better perspective on things. There's a corner, we'll have to do something interesting with that. First step, and there's the tread plate. Very good. One solitary starfish, the gap, second stairway, and then these beach huts. And I do think they're very bright. I do appreciate as well that if you open the door, they aren't full height, in that we've got some non-pushed down bricks there, being the sea wall, but you know, there's still a nice little sized cubby that we can use. That's 5 deep, 4 wide, so it'd be good to get your suggestions for those. A nice little quarter circle door handles on each. And then we've got a little nook down there next to the old fishing store, so you can still gain access to that. And then there's this lovely fence. Very good. So what has resulted from all that work? Well, a completely sort of flat box, really. This great big flat surface with an edge that goes like that. But hopefully you can see the potential in this. I mean, we've got the space for the shrimp shack. We've got the 2 stairways up. We've got 3 very colourful beach huts built into the wall, thus making use of all that space. And if you can visualise 3 modulars here with a passage down the left-hand side for pedestrians to get over the railway line, which is next to the railway crossing, but also the boardwalk continuing around this corner to link up with some little steps that will be this whole area behind the old fishing store. And then you've got the train line, obviously, with the high-speed passenger train on. And that, if you can imagine at the moment, maybe a little bit further in, would be actually in the station with the platforms actually here overlapping the back of that row of modulars. So yeah, this area is going to be very busy with a heck of a lot in it, which I guess is quite hard to imagine. But nonetheless, it gives us a lot to be going on with. Obviously, I can put the 3 modulars straight in now because they'll be stock, really, with all very minor changes from the sets as released by Lego. I can focus on the area up here, all the paving along all these areas, using up all my lovely grey tiles. And then I can even focus on roughing up this shore and putting in this sort of splashes and waves and all the people enjoying themselves. Plus the shrimp shack, plus some funny scenes in each of these 3 cabins. Maybe you could help me with some ideas for those. I already thought about somebody in the nude getting changed, you know, very surprised by you opening the door and having a peek inside. I thought about one being a bit of an Aladdin's cave, perhaps full of even real treasures. So it's a bit over the top, full of gold and silver and stuff like that. But the third one, I don't have an idea yet. So yeah, do help me with that. Although that took a lot of work to do and quite a long time over the weekend, it has set up what will hopefully be a bit of an easier time for the next few videos when we develop the area that we've created. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome Lego videos. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, well, we'll be doing a brick haul on Wednesday. As I said, we've got some pieces coming which will help us with this area, amongst others. And then on Friday, we'll be back here to do some more city updates. And I think the shrimp shack in the hole over here might just have to get done. See you then!